Tonight, a lucky escape. 4 fishermen hauled to safety as their boat sinks off Two Rocks. 2 brothers escape unharmed as an Armidale home is swallowed by flames. Interest rate and cost of living relief. The Prime Minister pins his hopes on a brighter 2024. Deadly mistake, 3 hostages accidentally killed by the Israeli military in Gaza. Plus a court win for Prince Harry in his ongoing battle against the British tabloids. And a final farewell for champion jockey Damien Oliver. We're live to Ascot for his last ride.
This is 9 News Perth with Tracy Vo.
Good evening. 4 friends are alive and on dry land tonight thanks to the actions of Good Samaritans. The fishermen pulled from the water by 2 men on a passing boat, forced to watch their vessel sink.
Nearly all but submerged and just the tip of the bow above the waterline. 4 fishermen look on from a marine rescue boat, lucky to be alive.
Pretty rough out the back there, so sort of the swell was sort of filling up the boat.
The group of mates getting into trouble 13 kilometres off the Two Rocks coast. Ken Thompson injuring himself in the scramble for help.
I had to smash out my window and stuff like that to get the bloody EPIRB out.
That EPIRB spotted by rescue teams back on shore, a flare alerting nearby boats.
I was like, that's a flare, we've got to go.
Clinging on to their sinking vessel for nearly 20 minutes, they're finally lifted from the ocean.
We said jump over here, have to swim to us because there's ropes in the water and lines, and that's all that goes on in my mind is if that happens to us, hopefully someone will do it for us.
Emergency teams back on shore in constant contact with the rescuers.
And is there anyone missing over?
Finally making it to the location, bringing the friends on board, escorting them and their ship called Sanity back to dry land. Almost completely underwater, Sanity will be pulled out and towed back to its owner's home, who will now be counting the cost of an uninsured boat.
Yeah, that's my first rescue. Yeah, we were quite proud of it, eh Steve?
There's some awesome blokes.
Safety gear on board keeping the fishermen safe. Thankfully, the only casualty today, an esky of bait. Rachel Clifford, 9 News.
2 brothers and their pet dogs have made a lucky escape in our southeast after a cigarette sparked a ferocious house fire. The Armidale renters aren't insured, losing everything they own.
Fast-moving and unforgiving CCTV capturing the moment flames completely destroy this Armidale home in just 15 minutes.
It took up with it. He had no chance. Like, if that's there was no chance. It's a weatherboard house. 2 brothers inside at the time, both managing to escape the blaze along with their 3 Rottweilers. The renters left with nothing to their names. All their possessions, including their phones, photos and identification, turned to ash. Saw it go up in smoke, a couple of explosions. There was no saving that. I was more worried about the dogs. Emergency crews were called to the Church Avenue property just after 6:30 last night, arriving to find the lounge room engulfed in flames.
Heard like a shattered glass outside, looked through the window. Next thing I know, I seen flames as high as I could see.
Crews quickly containing the inferno and saving neighbouring properties, while nearby residents did what they could to help.
Got a couple of bottles of water, brought them out, make sure everyone was okay. Then brought the pup into our yard, made sure she was okay.
The damage bill is still being determined, but 95% of the building has been lost and the family is not insured. Investigators say a cigarette is believed to have sparked the blaze. Kelly Jo Williams, 9 News.
And this afternoon, another blaze tore through a house in Kenwick. 3 residents were at the Oliphant Street property at the time, escaping the danger and saving their beloved pets. Fire crews arrived to find the house fully engulfed in flames. It's not yet clear what caused the fire, which took crews half an hour to extinguish. A shock for supermarket staff in the southeastern suburbs this morning, arriving at work to find crumpled walls and a collapsed doorway. Police charging a woman after she allegedly rammed her car into the building.
A shopping centre car park turned drag strip. One hit isn't enough for this driver. CCTV capturing the car repeatedly reversing and accelerating into Foodworks Kenwick.
It's not good for the shop, especially for the area, you know. We want to keep it as nice as possible.
Wheels spinning and smoke flying, the Mitsubishi Pajero becoming stuck on bollards. The 33-year-old woman allegedly behind the wheel, leaving empty-handed in the back of a police car.
Luckily that no one was around. It happened during the night. I mean, you couldn't imagine if it happened during the day and there was kids running around.
Alana Hayden is facing a string of charges, including reckless driving and criminal damage. Police say alcohol was also found in her system. Today granted bail, due to front court again in February. Alana, do you have anything you'd like to say? The store is still open, but the owners have been left with a big clean-up. The damage bill estimated at more than $100,000. Amber Wilkinson, 9 News.
Australian borrowers could be in for some relief next year, with easing inflation in the United States increasing hopes of a rate cut here. The move could also relieve pressure for the government ahead of an election shaping up to be fought on cost of living issues.
It's been a big year.
The PM looking back on the year with a nod to Australians struggling with everyday costs.
Global inflation is being felt here at home. Families are feeling pressure.
And with his government under pressure to find solutions,
we're seeing a government with no answers.
The opposition also sees an opportunity. Today, unveiling the Liberal candidate for the Victorian seat of Aston, claimed by Labor in a by-election earlier this year, as it readies for an election fight on the cost of living front.
Families in Aston are doing it really tough.
And we see no reason as to why it's not going to sadly continue to be the case up until the next election.
There is one reason things could improve.
The fight against inflation is a global one. The US is in the lead, and over there, they're starting to think they've won the war.
America's central bank has indicated it could cut rates 3 times next year, raising hopes Australia may head down the same path.
It's increasingly likely that we get rate cuts in Australia within the next year.
With Australians due to head to the polls by May 2025, a rate cut before then could ease some of the political pressure on Labor, which went to the last election promising to improve the cost of living. It's still promising things will get better.
But we've got a big agenda for 2024, delivering more cost of living relief.
But in these uncertain economic times, there are no guarantees.
The grind is going to stay mostly in place through next year.
Fiona Willan, 9 News.
There's outrage and anger tonight after Israel's Defence Force admitted to killing 3 Israeli hostages in Gaza by mistake. 3 of the captives were spotted by the army during its ground invasion, soldiers identifying them as a threat and opening fire.
Yotam Haim, Samir Talalka and Alon Shamriz. 3 young men who were kidnapped and held captive by Hamas for 10 long weeks. But it was those tasked with saving them who mistakenly shot these hostages dead. The IDF expresses deep remorse, says this spokesperson. The men were mistaken for terrorists during combat in Gaza City. It's unclear whether they were abandoned by Hamas or if they somehow escaped. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called it an unbearable tragedy and that the entire state of Israel will mourn, but insists we will bind up our wounds, learn lessons and continue with a supreme effort to return all our abductees home safely. That will mean little to the families of the 3 men who have held hope for so long. Tonight, relatives of hostages protesting in Tel Aviv over the devastating mistake. 28-year-old Yotam filmed this video on October 7 before he was snatched from his kibbutz. His mother has campaigned tirelessly for his release, even flying to Australia as part of a delegation to meet the Prime Minister.
He loves animals, he has a big heart, very special person. Of course, we want him back soon, as soon as it's possible.
The casualties in this war are mounting. 18,000 Palestinians have been killed in less than 3 months. America now urging Israel to scale down its offensive.
Certainly more can be done to protect innocent life, and we're going to continue to urge and work with our Israeli counterparts to that end.
Part of the complexity here is that we're fighting in a civilian environment. That burden does not lessen the IDF's responsibility to act in a way that distinguishes between terrorist targets and innocent people.
In the United States, Lauren Tomasi, 9 News.
In a High Court judgment set to have profound implications for the British media landscape, a UK judge has ruled the tabloid Mirror newspapers did hack Prince Harry's phone to obtain stories. The Duke of Sussex has called the ruling vindicating and affirming, urging police to now investigate.
He's taken on the tabloids and won, at least in part, a High Court judge ruling Prince Harry's phone was hacked by the Daily Mirror. And there was in fact extensive phone hacking carried out by the Mirror Group newspapers between 2006 and 2011.
Today is a great day for truth as well as accountability.
Prince Harry's lawyer reading out a statement from the Duke, who didn't attend court, after Justice Fancourt concluded his phone was hacked to a modest extent, finding that 15 out of the 33 articles focused on in the trial were the result of unlawful information gathering. Prince Harry had accused the publishers of hacking his phone for years to illegally obtain stories about his relationship with his family and ex-girlfriend Chelsea Davy.
I've been told that slaying dragons will get you burned. But in light of today's victory and the importance of doing what is needed for a free and honest press, it is a worthwhile price to pay.
The judge also finding Piers Morgan, former editor of the Daily Mirror, was aware and involved.
I've never hacked a phone or told anybody else to hack a phone, and nobody has produced any actual evidence to prove that I did.
The Duke's been awarded more than $260,000 in damages for the distress caused. During the dramatic 7-week trial, he'd spoken of suffering bouts of paranoia and depression. Mirror Group newspapers saying where historical wrongdoing took place, we apologise unreservedly, have taken full responsibility and paid appropriate compensation. Prince Harry became the first royal in 130 years to appear in a witness box during the trial, and the evidence heard there, along with today's judgment, could have big implications for his other phone hacking cases against British newspapers. Harry's feud with the UK's tabloids far from over. In London, Karianne Greenbank, 9 News.
Women's refuge charity Rua is being given access to more than $200,000 in state funding. The organisation is currently without a safe night space for those in need. The money will be used for food, clothing and accommodation until a long-term solution is found.
It is nonsense, implausible for any homeless service to be delivered in 2 weeks. That's why we are providing this interim measure while the planning application by Rua is before the City of Perth.
Meanwhile, preparations are underway for WA's first build-to-rent project, creating new social housing and affordable rentals from the vacant Stirling Tower site in Highgate. Community Housing Limited and Tetris Capital have been named as the 2 companies which will oversee the demolition of the site, expected to begin next year. A West Aussie wonder of horse racing is calling time on an incredible career tonight. Damien Oliver riding professionally for the last time at Ascot Racecourse. Live to reporter Amber Wilkinson, who is there. What's the crowd like there, Amber?
Oh, Tracy, the fans here are Damien Oliver obsessed. They have been cheering for him all day, packing Ascot just to get a glimpse of him in action. And what a day it's been. Damien Oliver winning his last race here on home soil. Now, celebrations here have been going all day. There were even 800 Damien Oliver custom beer bottles up for grabs, but as you can imagine, those did get snapped up pretty quickly. Now, the after party here is just getting started, but it will be a day to remember for everyone, both on and off the racecourse.
A final lap for one of racing's finest.
Munamek has got there! Oliver's got the run!
Damien Oliver jumping out of the saddle after a stellar 36-year-long career.
It's gold! Gold! Gold at Ascot!
The boy from Byford securing his first win at 15. Oliver's success only skyrocketing since. 3 Melbourne Cup victories, 4 Caulfield Cup triumphs and more than 120 Group 1 wins.
Everybody knows the name of Damien Oliver after the exploits of the Melbourne Cup media puzzle, and
I mean, I guess most of Australia got to share in one of the most unimaginable griefs and then one of the most unbelievable triumphs, and so people feel they know Ollie.
Ascot sending Damien Oliver off in style for his final race, the greatest of all time, immortalised in more ways than one.
His family background, yes, his life, his Melbourne Cup win after his brother.
He rides the winner. Yeah, but probably Media Puzzle was probably the best.
Just a humble guy who's done it all. WA boy, moved east, and he's just about won every race. Yeah, just a fantastic, iconic guy for the racing industry.
The end of an era for Australian racing. Amber Wilkinson, 9 News.
Queensland has been smashed by a superstorm, recording wind speeds resembling a mini tornado and leaving homes and businesses destroyed. The intense weather system turning deadly after a young man was electrocuted by a fallen power line. And this afternoon, a child has been struck by lightning at a property in Beerwah on the Sunshine Coast. The 10-year-old girl has been transported to hospital and remains in a critical condition.
This is the aftermath of a storm cell bearing the strength of a Category 3 cyclone. Queensland's southeast corner didn't see it coming.
It just really started to rain, the wind went crazy, and I made it into that bay there just before the roof came over.
The system unleashing about 6 minutes of fury, suburb by suburb.
An event like this, like a microburst coming out of a severe thunderstorm, tends to be quite short-acting, quite short-lived.
It sent caravans sliding and flipped a big double. Oh, no. Trees toppled onto cars. Holy! Hail bounced off the bitumen. There were 190,000 lightning strikes. The system short, sharp and deadly. These are a 30-year-old man's final moments captured on CCTV. While moving a fallen tree from the road, he was electrocuted by a falling power line.
The atmosphere was really quite unstable, and unfortunately it didn't take very long to see some quite powerful severe thunderstorms.
Wind speeds of 169 kilometres an hour were recorded, significantly stronger than Cyclone Jasper in the state's north earlier in the week. To give you an idea of just how fierce these winds were, this Cessna 172 on top was actually tethered to the ground 4 parking bays down. The cable has snapped and it's been dragged about 50 metres this way, and there was no smooth landing. It speared straight into another aircraft.
We're at least ankle deep at some point in water, if not higher up our legs.
The roof of this motorcycle gear store was sprayed across hundreds of metres.
This was kind of like the epicentre, that's what we're calling it. The epicentre of the cyclone.
35,000 homes lost power and residents are bracing again because more storms will roll through Queensland tonight. Abby Guerin, 9 News.
Here in Perth, it was hotter than expected today. Natalia Cooper, how warm did it get?
Well, good evening to you, Tracy. It was a couple of degrees warmer than predicted. After a low early this morning of 17.8, we climbed to a top of 36.3, around 20 past 2. Around the suburbs, Pearce and the Swan Valley hit 38 degrees, the airport 37, Jandakot 36 degrees and 35 the top in Mandurah. There's a trough through northern parts of the Southwest Land Division, which will move east tomorrow. That means a cooler change for Perth. There is still the risk of a shower or a storm this evening, but if it does come, it won't be until later. I'll be back later in the bulletin with the full forecast. Tracy?
We'll see you then, Natalia. Thank you. Chaos on the freeway as a ute slams through a barrier, smashing into a taxi. That's next. See, the giant cranes brought in from Italy to help build the Armadale train line. A 4-month-old baby sucked into a tornado found alive in a tree. And Friends actor Matthew Perry's cause of death finally revealed. There's a new addition to the East Victoria Park skyline, standing 20 metres tall. This is the first of 4 cranes imported from Italy, being brought in as part of the Armadale line upgrades. The enormous machines will work in pairs to construct the elevated parts of the new railway. Each has the ability to lift 120 tonnes.
The reason they chose these cranes is because there'll be less disruption to the community. So instead of having the individual cranes that would need to come and be put up and potentially have massive road closures.
Following a community competition, the cranes have been named Victor and Becky after the Victoria Park and Beckenham stations, and Yira and Kedani, which are Noongar words meaning carry and high. A Ford Ranger ute has sparked chaos on the Kwinana Freeway with a 35-year-old male driver smashing through the centre barrier and into a taxi. Paramedics treated the cab driver and the driver of the ute for minor injuries at the scene. No charges have been laid. The man behind the wheel in the Dalesford pub tragedy in regional Victoria has spent his first night back home after he was bailed on culpable driving charges. 66-year-old William Swale walked free from custody late yesterday.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the families, Mr Swale? Are you relieved to have been released from custody?
He will return to court in April. An incredible story of survival has emerged from the destruction of the deadly Tennessee tornado. A 4-month-old boy sucked up in the wind, found alive and hanging in a tree.
A baby's playpen wrapped around a tree, the family's mobile home obliterated.
The roof came off first, the tip of the tornado came down and picked up the bassinet with my baby Lord in it. And he was the first thing to go up.
As the tornado hit, Sydney Moore dived on top of her 1-year-old Princeton.
Literally, the moment I jumped on him, the walls collapsed. I was being really crushed. I couldn't breathe.
Sydney's fiancé reached for their 4-month-old baby Lord, but he'd already been taken by the wind.
I thought he was dead. I was pretty sure he was dead and we weren't going to be able to find him.
Tossed into a tree 8 metres away from the bassinet he was sleeping in.
It looked like a little tree cradle. He was just laying there.
Now safe and happy with just a scratch on his face, his mum holding her boys a little tighter tonight.
Those kids are what saved me. They saved me from everything, and I don't know what I would have done without them.
Sophie Upcroft, 9 News.
An autopsy report has revealed Matthew Perry died from the effects of the anaesthetic ketamine. The 54-year-old Friends actor was found in his spa in October. Drowning was deemed a secondary factor and his death was ruled an accident. Lost luggage is a common downside to air travel, but no passenger expects this. 14 workers at a Spanish airport have been arrested on suspicion of stealing $3.3 million worth of items from checked-in baggage. This is just some of the loot taken from the Tenerife South Airport that handles about 11 million passengers a year. A jury has ordered Rudy Giuliani pay $220 million in damages to 2 election workers he defamed. Donald Trump's former lawyer falsely claimed the pair helped rig the outcome of the 2020 election.
The absurdity of the number merely underscores the absurdity of the entire proceeding. I am quite confident when this case gets before a fair tribunal, it'll be reversed so quickly.
Giuliani says he will launch an appeal. Aussie primary school students are benefiting from a dose of Greyhound therapy. From the basketball court to the classroom, therapy dog Tess has been credited for improving the mood.
It's school drop-off time and there's a friendly face at the gate. Tess, the therapy dog, and she's a star.
Her main role with that is if a child's feeling a bit anxious for the day, she'll walk them to class.
How does she make you feel?
Happy.
For 2 years now, the Greyhound has helped students at the school, whether they're having trouble coping with classes, problems in the playground, or they're just in need of a good cuddle. Why you like coming and hanging out with Tess?
Because she's always well behaved and she's calm and she makes everyone feel better when they're upset.
Because she doesn't bite my fingers like our dog Bear.
Roland Gardner adopted Tess from the Greyhound adoption program.
Our aim is always to place the right dog in the right home, so we're looking for that perfect match.
From a litter of racing dogs, Tess never made it to the track. She excelled instead at canine therapy school, passing with flying colours. She now joins students 3 days a week.
Sometimes she's on the basketball court and I give her pats.
Roland says the program has been a great success with the kids. They've even taken to painting portraits of their favourite pooch.
I love her to bits. So do the parents.
And we're told the teachers do too. There are not a lot of rules when it comes to test time, except this one. When she's on this couch, she is off duty. No pats allowed from the kids, but she makes an exception for the adults. This therapy dog business sure can be tiring work. Now it's time for a rest. Reid Butler, 9 News.
A suspicious blaze in our eastern suburbs, why police want your help after the break. Plus a trampoline safety warning for families heading into summer. Meet the Australian woman making astronaut history at NASA. And never before seen vision behind the scenes at King Charles's coronation. Police are investigating a suspicious bushfire that came close to homes in Perth's eastern suburbs. Emergency crews were called to the blaze near Farrell Road, 2J Road and Roe Highway in Stratton just after 2 o'clock yesterday morning. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers. An Australian woman is one step closer to achieving her space dream. Catherine Bennell-Pegg wants to be the first Aussie female astronaut, and she's travelled to the US vying to make history and hoping to inspire others.
One small move for Catherine, one giant leap for her dream.
It's good. It was tight on the head coming through.
Catherine Bennell-Pegg is reaching for the stars.
How's this feel, Catherine? Finally having this helmet on, you got the torso on, you're almost ready to go.
I'm almost ready to go. I definitely feel one step closer.
This is the first time Catherine has donned a spacesuit.
I've got plenty of room in here to move around.
The 39-year-old engineer and mother of two who'd been working at the Space Agency in Adelaide is Australia's first female astronaut candidate.
When I first saw this Australian flag on the flight suit, it was a special moment.
She's travelled to Houston, a home to NASA, and where Collins Aerospace has been developing the next generation spacesuit for astronauts bound for the International Space Station and beyond.
Like if you put your arm straight out now.
Every basic movement is tested, as are others needed to help work in space. This suit is lighter than others and has taken 5 years to get to this stage. It could be another 3 before it travels beyond Earth.
Okay, I always had a philosophy when doing a spacewalk is make yourself right.
Guiding Catherine through this process is Daniel Levis. He's been to space twice and knows what it's like to have your office outside, high above the Earth's surface.
What's it like passing on your words of wisdom to the next generation? It's exciting. It's exciting. Space is about the future, and so we have to constantly be looking above and beyond.
Catherine is not the only Australian here. Brisbane company Ray Tracer brought its virtual reality technology that it hopes could be fitted inside this helmet to help astronauts train for space. That's where Catherine wants to be. Her training with the European Space Agency finishes in April.
It's moments like these that make you step back and go, wow, you know, what would my 10-year-old self be thinking right now?
Of these 634 people who've ventured beyond Earth, just 73 have been women.
I know it's challenging. Women are still in the minority, and that's a problem because we need diversity in all its forms to solve problems.
And for Catherine, realising her dream also means opening the next frontier to the next generation.
What do you reckon the kids will think when they see mums in the spacesuit?
They'll want one, I think. I think they'll want one.
In Houston, Texas, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
It was an historic royal occasion, and tonight we've been given a behind-the-scenes look of the King's coronation. A new documentary narrated by Helena Bonham Carter shows the King joking around with staff moments before leaving the palace.
Should we go and get ourselves organised down there?
The 90-minute documentary will air on Boxing Day. New research is providing some positive news for families heading to trampoline parks this summer. The study by Melbourne's Royal Children's Hospital shows the rate of serious injuries is low if you follow some simple rules.
Springing into action, this is one way to jumpstart the day.
I love it so much.
A lift that most enjoy whether you're a teenager.
Pretty good. I just jump and throw balls.
Or a mum bouncing back.
I get to come and be active and be a bit of a kid.
Trampoline parks are a popular place for families.
Just safe, and my kids love it. Energy outlet.
And now a new study by the Royal Children's Hospital, Melbourne and Monash University found significant injuries to be rare. Investigators analysed 3 years of data from 18 trampoline parks in Australia and the Middle East. They identified more than 13,000 injuries across 8 million hours of jumping on trampolines. Only 1 in 10 of those injuries were significant, meaning the patient required an ambulance, attended an emergency department or operating room.
It shouldn't be surprising in a way because these trampoline parks are following good safety regulations.
Researchers say there are limitations with the study because the rate of low injuries may not necessarily reflect other trampoline parks who could be doing the wrong thing.
While this study is good news for families this school holidays, the advice for adults and children is to never attempt any trick that's beyond your skill level.
Our staff are trained really well to intervene when we feel like a kid is going outside of their skill level.
And for those jumping at home, doctors advise trampolines are not recommended for children 6 and under. Always place trampolines on soft surfaces like grass and not concrete. If the trampoline is exposed to the sun or rain, regularly check for holes or signs of damage. Neri Tai, 9 News.
Coming up after sport, the top holiday destinations for 2024 reveal details on the overseas hotspots Aussies are flocking to and how it could be cheaper to fly there. Plus, at the moment, a sick little boy has his wish granted by the Wiggles. But Alexia Pesce is here with sport now. Alexia, Aussies in control at the end of day 3.
Tracy, they caused Pakistan all sorts of headaches, but that pain soon turned to the Aussie openers. Dave's duck over and out before he even begun. A superstar signs off, given a golden goodbye in a dream moment. And drama in the jungle. King Cotton comes up clutch. Australia is building on its huge lead over Pakistan, but David Warner won't be contributing. The opener dismissed for a duck. More pain for the top order, Marnus Labuschagne needing medical attention, but batting out a short-lived stint. The Aussies 2 for 84, holding a 300-run lead at stumps on day 3.
The day 3 Aussie intent clear from the first ball.
Oh, there's a chance. Out. Oh, that was just a horrendous call from Emmanuel Haque. First ball.
Just 3 deliveries in.
Straight through him. Third ball of the morning.
Opener Emmanuel Haque left fighting for Pakistan and bringing up his half-century.
Oh, and they'll scurry through. So the applause around the ground will be Emmanuel Haque, his 9th Test match 50.
Looking for a breakthrough before the new ball, the Aussies turning to a familiar face.
Well, you might have heard the roar if you're in Sydney.
Mitch Marsh into the attack with immediate effect.
Edge and gone, and Mitchell Marsh and Perth. That had to be, didn't it?
Babar Azam gone for 21. The intensity in the field relentless, and the wickets falling quickly.
As he does there, and he's gone. He couldn't help himself, Emmanuel Haque, and Lyon has another.
Ul Haque dismissed for 62, the Aussies flying, and the stumps too.
Got him!
What a delivery.
Mitch Stark, absolutely outstanding.
As the efforts in the field continued.
Got him, is he? Yes, Usman Khawaja. Diving forwards, it's a good grab.
Nathan Lyon grabbing a 499th Test wicket by a matter of inches.
Fantastic work by Alex Carey.
Even Travis Head got in on the act. Pakistan all out for 271. Australia 216 runs up, but a game of 2 innings sending David Warner from Centurion to duck.
Oh, that's awkward. That's awkward. Very ugly and out.
1 for none, made worse from a pitch crack.
This is taken in by total surprise. Have a look at this.
Oof. It's almost cut him in half.
Labuschagne's hand injury attended to as he continued, and so did the loose shots.
Gets it short, gets it high on the bat. Safraz comes round. Another wicket goes down. Labuschagne falls.
2 for 5, not quite the expected Aussie hammering. Cue Steve Smith and Usman Khawaja to steady things in the middle. A 79-run partnership at stumps. Australia 2 for 84, leading by 300 runs. Joel Saratzis, 9 News.
WA jockey Damien Oliver has bowed out of racing in style, winning the final 3 races of his career at Ascot, including Group 3 Gold Rush, named in his honour. The 3-time Melbourne Cup winner's last ride, a fairy tale finish on board Moonamek, winning by a length from Ripcord and Comfort Me.
It's Ripcord, and now Moonamek has got there. Oliver's got the run. The racing gods have spoken. It's gold, gold, gold.
It was a great win, but an unbelievable feeling. I couldn't think of a better way to finish it off.
The miracle win sending the home crowd, his family and friends into raptures. 2 clutch free throws from Bryce Cotton has steered the Wildcats to a thrilling 1-point win over the Jack Jumpers. Perth fighting back after trailing by 16 points in the second quarter. The 3-time MVP keeping his cool from the line in the dying seconds.
Cotton puts the Wildcats up by 1. 5.9 seconds remaining.
It's no pressure. Everything I do in the game I work on, so it's just a matter of if it's a shot, whether it's going to go in or it's not.
Tasmania missing one final chance to win the game, but the Wildcats held on, moving to 3rd on the NBL ladder. The Glory have fallen agonisingly short of their first away win in 14 months, drawing 2-2 with the Newcastle Jets. Perth coming back from a goal down to lead for most of the second half before an incredible 97th minute equaliser to the home side with just seconds to go.
Maragis in behind, squares it up, surely! There's the equaliser! Trent Bahaja in the 97th minute!
The Glory haven't won an A-League game on the road since October 2022. In the EPL, Tottenham's resurgence continues to gather steam, claiming back-to-back wins for the first time in 2 months. Ange Postecoglou's men may have defeated Nottingham Forest, but ill discipline is still plaguing the side. A grim month, Spurs heading in the right direction.
And Richarlison! And Spurs have the lead in first half stoppage time.
Tottenham claiming the 2-0 win over Nottingham Forest, but the victory soured after Ange's men were reduced to 10 in the final 20 minutes. Midfielder Yves Bissouma red-carded for this nasty challenge.
That is an absolutely awful challenge. And Jared Gillett is going to upgrade yellow to red. Bissouma off for the second time this season.
The midfielder to miss the next 4 matches. A team with the same name in a different code, also with a much-needed win. NBA's San Antonio Spurs snapping their longest losing streak in franchise history.
The Spurs end their 18-game losing streak.
The drought broken with the 129-115 win over the Lakers. The match even more memorable for Spurs sensation Victor Wembanyama, coming out on top in his first tussle with Lakers superstar LeBron James.
Wembanyama punches it home.
The 7-foot French rookie finishing with 13 points and 15 rebounds. Tracy, how about Damien Oliver? Incredible career, big night at Ascot.
Yeah, emotional one as well. All right, Lex, thanks very much. Next, the positive signs travelling could be cheaper in 2024. And Dame Edna Everage lights up the Opera House one last time. And Natalia Cooper, a cooler day on the way tomorrow.
Yes, Tracy, it'll be 5 degrees cooler than it was today, but it will warm up again midweek. Your full forecast is coming up.
Whether you're planning a holiday at home or away, chances are you'll be copping higher costs. But despite everything getting more expensive, Aussies are committed to travel. And there's positive signs on the horizon for next year, with one destination in particular capturing our hearts.
Smiles at the airport, just the start of holiday fun for the Cranes. The Sydney family of 6 is jet-setting to Japan.
A couple of days in Tokyo, then the bullet train down to Osaka, Universal Studios.
Their overseas adventure won't take them far from one familiar sound, the Australian accent. Airbnb says Australia's top searches for overseas stays in 2024 are overwhelmingly in Japan. 8 out of the top 10 cities, Taipei and Hong Kong, also make the list. Skyscanner data also reflects a growing love affair. 3 Japanese cities in its top 5 trending destinations for next year, along with 2 in China.
Places like
career as well. So Seoul is starting to trend, which could be the next Tokyo.
Closer to home, headline events are also inspiring a jump in tour tourism, with a rise in staycation bookings on Airbnb.
Inner city Melbourne, so places like Richmond and East Melbourne, which of course is where the tennis is held. And then in Queensland, we're seeing Townsville and Rockhampton, and Rockhampton Beef Week is coming back next year.
But whether it be at home or away, we're paying more. Since the end of the pandemic, the cost of travel has skyrocketed faster than inflation. Extra international flights will hopefully ease the pressure in 2024, including to Japan, China, Vietnam, Singapore and the USA. And Qantas will fly Perth to Paris direct just in time for the Olympics. No such luck domestic. Amex GBT predicts a 3.1% rise in prices in 2024. Despite higher living costs, it seems many Australians aren't willing to sacrifice their holidays. CanStar asked Aussie savers which expenses they were reluctant to give up. Travel came in number one. When there's a will, there's a way.
Because we have somebody to stay with, it doesn't matter.
What we've paid $5,000 for in April this year, now it's going to be $15,000, so that's a huge saving.
So find a friend's couch, book early and start packing. Annalise Bolt, 9 News.
A wish came true for 2-year-old Harry today, who suffers from brain cancer and cerebral palsy. The Starlight Foundation arranging for him to meet his idols, the Wiggles. He and his family were chauffeured to Sydney's Olympic Park and given a private suite and a special sing-along.
Everybody clap. That's it, Harry. Everybody sing. La 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 la. Bow to your partner.
Harry's highlighter ride in the big red car on stage. Sydney Harbour had a pink and purple glow last night. The sails of the Opera House adorned with a tribute to Dame Edna Everage. Hundreds had gathered there hours earlier to celebrate the incredible life of the man behind the purple glasses, Barry Humphries. Time now to take a look at Perth's property market. Sales activity was lower over the week, while total listings remain relatively stable. Reiwa.com data shows 4,730 properties are up on the market and 995 are under offer or have been sold. Our top-selling suburbs, Baldivis, Mandurah, Rockingham and Scarborough. At the top end of the market, this 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom contemporary home in Attadale, featuring a spacious entertainer's kitchen, a large master suite and an expansive backyard, selling for $1.85 million. In East Victoria Park, this 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home with an open-plan living and dining area and large courtyard sold for $860,000. While in Canning Vale, this 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom family home with a double garage sold for just over $500,000. And this Golden Bay 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home with an alfresco area just minutes from Rockingham's shoreline sold this week for $500,000. Stay with us. Natalia Cooper is back with your weather details right after this break.
Welcome back. A mostly sunny Saturday in Perth. It was hot too, a couple of degrees warmer than expected. We hit a maximum of 36 degrees around 20 past 2 this afternoon. 18 was our low early this morning and right now it's sitting on 26.2 degrees. To the charts, and a trough through northern parts of the southwest land division will move east tomorrow, so that means there'll be a cooler change for Perth. Around the nation tomorrow, a possibly severe thunderstorm for Brisbane, partly cloudy and 27 in Sydney and a sunny 24 degrees in Melbourne. Back in the north of our state, Kununurra going for 39 degrees, 43 at Marble Bar and 41 degrees in Newman. It'll be a windy day in Exmouth and Carnarvon expecting a mostly sunny 28 degrees. Further south, sunshine and 30 degrees in Geraldton, 30 in Bunbury as well and 23 the top in Augusta, a shower or two in Esperance and 34 in Kalgoorlie. On the waters, there's a strong wind warning. Southerly winds 15 to 25 knots, reaching up to 30 knots during the afternoon and evening. Winds will tend southeasterly, 20 to 25 knots in the late evening. Seas to 2.5 metres and swell to below a metre. Around the suburbs, windy in Joondalup, Swanbourne, Fremantle and Rockingham, 32 the top at Kalamunda. So to the official Perth forecast, the slight chance of a shower or storm tonight and again tomorrow morning, but any activity will clear by sunrise. sunrise. A mostly sunny day after that, 31 the top after a low of 18 degrees. Looking ahead, sunny and a lovely 31 on Monday, 31 again on Tuesday, but windy conditions. Then it will warm up to a hot 35 degrees on Wednesday and Thursday. Friday is looking mostly sunny and 32, 33 degrees on Saturday, and minimum temperatures ranging from 16 to a warm 21 degrees. So a couple of very pleasant summer days ahead of us before it warms up again. And Tracy, we are edging ever closer to Christmas.
We can't wait for that. All right, Natalia, thanks very much. And that's 9 News Saturday. Thanks for your company. A Current Affair is next with Deb Knight. From the team, enjoy your evening and good night.